TikTok is a wild place. 1 second, you're watching someone make banana bread, and the next, someone's dressed as a jar of mayonnaise. Since 2020, the app has been handing out fame, like free samples at Costco. What? And let's be honest, not everyone who goes viral really deserves the spotlight. Some TikTokers hustle hard. They dance, they're funny, they have real talent. And then there's Caroline Carr. So who is Caroline Carr? And why does everyone on your For You page suddenly have a take on her? Well, if you've been even remotely online in the past few years, you might know her as that girl who cosplayed Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph. And yes, she nailed the look. But let's be real, looking like a cartoon character isn't enough to earn over 9 million followers.
You have to back out of the race.
Oh, no, I don't. You know, because I paid my fee and I'm on the board, so yeah, I'm definitely racing.
Yeah, well, King Candy says glitches can't race.
I'm not a glitch tacked, I've just got pixlexia.
Thing is, Caroline knows how to play the TikTok game. Back in 2021, when the app was knee-deep in cottagecore, strawberry cows, mushrooms, and oddly, frogs, she didn't miss a beat. Everyone was obsessed with frog-themed decor, frog art, frog clothes, you name it. So what did Carolyn do? She bought 2 real frogs, and at first it worked. People loved her frog content. She'd show them off, play with them, and they became the quirky centerpieces of her brand. Her videos exploded, and her strange but cute aesthetic won people over. But then things started to unravel, because it turns out being a frog mom isn't as simple as just owning frogs. Amphibians aren't your average pet. You can't treat them like sound like a puppy or a kitten. Their skin is extremely sensitive. It absorbs moisture, oxygen, and anything it touches. And human hands, covered in oils, bacteria, dirt, not exactly frog friendly.
Hey you, it's me Caroline, and today we're going to talk about my little frog babies. They're both boys, and this one's name's Owen, and that's Atlas over there. I constantly ask how I tell them apart. Owen's darker with a missing thumb.
Still, Carolyn kept posting videos where she handled them barehanded. No gloves, no prep, just vibes. And the internet noticed. Quickly, people started calling her out for improper care. One commenter even broke down the science, pointing out that a frog ejecting water isn't just peeing, it's a defense mechanism.
Alright, so we need to talk about this because this video goes on to talk about how she thinks that it's okay to handle White's tree frogs without gloves, and she provides some very bad Google citations as her sources, which are not accurate. The one thing I want to point out here that's really concerning, that frog did not just pee. A frog has a water reserve, and when a predator grabs them, they use that water reserve to squirt that out.
Not a great sign for a supposedly happy pet. And how did Caroline respond? Like many influencers under fire, she doubled down. She insisted that her frogs, Australian, White's tree frogs, were totally fine being handled barehanded, as long as her hands were clean. Technically, she wasn't completely wrong. White's tree frogs are more tolerant of handling than most amphibians, but tolerant doesn't mean daily TikTok prop, and it definitely doesn't mean placing them on makeup-covered hands, hats, or outfits. Carolyn didn't just ignore the criticism. She deleted old videos, seemingly trying to erase the evidence. But the internet never forgets. Screenshots, re-uploads, and commentary videos were everywhere. It didn't help that she admitted to mostly taking the frogs out for videos, which made it sound like they were props, not pets. When people called her out for it, she tried to deflect with comparisons to cats, dogs, and reptiles used in other people's videos. But let's be real, comparing a frog to a cat is ridiculous. Cats want attention. Frogs just want to be left alone in their damp little terrariums. As the backlash grew, the internet split into two camps. The Leave Carolyn Alone crowd. These were her fans. They felt like people were overreacting. There were some sources saying the frogs were fine, and after all, she wasn't hurting them, right? The She's an Animal Abuser army. These folks weren't buying the excuses. To them, it looked like Caroline was using her frogs for clout, ignoring valid concerns and treating living creatures like TikTok props. And the worst part? She didn't really try to address the concerns properly. No expert advice, no thoughtful response, just snarky comebacks and business as usual, and even her supporters started feeling uneasy. Because beyond the glove issue, Caroline was mishandling the frogs, holding them improperly, placing them in risky situations, and using them like party tricks. Her content screamed, "Do something cute for the camera," with zero concern for the animal's well-being. Here's the real problem: frogs, like many exotic pets, are easily stressed. Loud sounds, quick movements, constant handling, it's all overwhelming. And when your entire audience is made up of teens and kids who now think aesthetic pet ownership is a vibe, it sets a dangerous trend. Caroline's content wasn't just cringe, it was irresponsible. There are plenty of ethical pet influencers out there who show what responsible care looks like. Caroline's frog content, on the other hand, looked more like she was dragging a cold-blooded intern into her personal brand strategy. When you have a platform that big, you're not just making content, you're setting an example. And when that example is buy a pet so it can match your TikTok vibe, that's a problem. Worse still, and Carolyn knew she was being criticized. She saw the comments, but instead of reflecting, asking for advice, or owning up to any mistakes, she stayed silent, or worse, sarcastic. And that's just one part of the Caroline Carr saga. Because just as the frog drama started cooling down, she waded into even messier waters with, you guessed it, cosplay. Now cosplay should be a creative, fun expression, but Caroline managed to turn it into yet another controversy. She dressed up as Mina Ashido from My Hero Academia, a canonically 16-year-old character, and danced to lyrics that were, let's say, not PG, and doing that while dressed as a high schooler on a platform full of minors. Yikes. Instead of stepping back and thinking, okay, maybe that crossed a line, Caroline's defenders tried to justify it with arguments like, well, anime characters are sexualized anyway. Yeah, that's exactly the issue. If the source material already has problematic elements, doubling down on it doesn't make you edgy. It just adds fuel to the fire. This isn't just a Caroline problem. It's part of a larger issue in anime culture, where young girls are often sexualized, and when adult creators cosplay those characters in suggestive ways, it sends a damaging message to young fans. Then came the shipping controversy. Carolyn, who originally got popular cosplaying Vanellope von Schweetz, a literal child, started creating content that romanticized her relationship with Ralph, a grown man. Let me repeat, she was pairing a 9-year-old cartoon girl with a stubbly, middle-aged man who looks like he complains about HOA fees. It's just no hard number. And even though Caroline herself once told people not to ship those characters, she turned around and did it anyway. That's the pattern here. Carolyn builds a platform by playing the algorithm, hopping on trends and leaning into controversy. But when things backfire, it's deflection, deletion, and denial. Maybe she didn't mean to cause harm. Maybe she thought say it was all harmless fun. But intent doesn't erase impact. When you've got a massive platform and your fan base is mostly young, impressionable people, you don't just get to shrug off the consequences. You influence behavior. You shape trends. And when those trends involve treating animals like accessories or sexualizing child characters, there's a problem. So, what do you think about the whole Caroline Carr situation? Was the backlash justified, or is the internet being too harsh again? Let me know in the comments. And trust me, this probably won't be the last time we hear about Caroline and controversy in the same sentence.